So coming up, we've got the NAMM show in June, and that hasn't been done before. So how are you guys adapting?
Like it's, special edition, one time only, June, right? The reality was, do we wait and go for 23? I mean, that was really, and these are decisions made last summer, basically. Prior to Delta, prior to Omicron, these were changing quickly. Maybe just at the hint of Delta. But that was the question, do we just skip 22, call it a gap year? And no one in our organization or on our board felt that that was a good idea. As an industry, to not even connect or gather for another full year, we just didn't see that as productive for anybody or any part of our mission, which is more music makers, more of a robust industry. So January did not look good once we understood more about the variants and how they were, spreading quickly, especially in our show, which is so international. And we depend on that global free travel of global industry members. So trying to move the schedule around, look at Anaheim, they miraculously came up with some June dates for us. We'll take them, as opposed to skip. It was either June or skip 22. And it's kind of a Sophie's choice, right?
Right.
So we chose June. So, and so while we are not ideal, obviously it's a crowded part of the calendar for everybody, and now even more so with the rebound of touring, it was the best of the worst choices.
Well, the Parnelli Awards are going to be special in and of itself, and we look to have a more intimate type of show this year. We've got some great honorees. We have Peter Morse getting the Visionary Award. Peter is one of the first lighting designers that has worked with just a who's who of the top productions through the years. And then Sam Burkow is getting the Audio Award, and Sam was the inventor and developer of the Smart System, and that is a mainstay for the audio world to tune rooms when they go into and make sure that all the EQs are set in all the places. And our Lifetime Achievement Award winner is David Bernstein, who is the owner of Rocket Cargo. And so, you think about the concert industry, when you start to get real granular with it, there's some real nuts and bolts types of things that have to be done, and getting the gear from one place to another is a very important part of it. And so he brought strategies and different techniques into getting gear from LA to Australia to Europe, and getting it more systemized and not so scattered. And trust. He brought a lot of trust to the industry, because when David said that he would get something there, you could rest assured it would be there. So it should be really exciting to see all the folks that come and want to share in honoring these folks. And of course, we're going to be doing our regular indispensable technology awards, the IT awards. So we're going to be giving an award out for the best audio, lighting, staging, and video products this year. But we won't be doing all the best of 2021s, because it's just there wasn't anything to judge, because there wasn't any shows going on. So we're going to forego those and then come back with them back in 23.
Why do you do this for the industry, Terry? Why have you put so much sweat and blood and time and energy into honoring? This is, such a big part of your life, and we're all proud of you for doing it, and we're grateful to you for doing it. But why do you do it?
Well, these folks deserve it, and there really wasn't anything that really gave them the evening where they could step in front of the spotlight instead of behind it, and have the light shine down on them and let people know exactly how their influences, how their inventions, how their way of doing business had affected everyone in taking this industry from 1961, 62 to what it is today. And, everybody that is in it is a first generation person that's in their 60s and 70s, and most of the people that we honor are that old and definitely deserve that recognition. So we're in our 20th year of doing the Parnelli Awards, and it's really become something that, you know, when Dennis from the U2 group, whose last name escapes me, when his obituary was in the New York Times, it said he was a Parnelli Award winner. So when, you know, it's become so ingrained that people have that in their last words written about them.
I call that's important stuff. When it ends up in your obituary,
Yeah.
I call that really important.
Right.
Everyone I've been to of the Parnelli Awards and the winners, when they speak about their careers, they talk about people that influenced them or helped them along the way. Mm-hmm. And maybe that is one of the most important elements of the Parnellis, is that you celebrate and everyone knows that there's a role to help others.
Right.
And I think that's just one of the themes I've seen through it, that everybody knows they got to where they were because someone helped them along the way, someone mentored them or took an interest and helped develop their career. And that's the circle of giving. That's the giving part, because everyone that's related to Parnelli's or seen these events realizes that's their obligation now. That their heroes all were given a leg up by someone else. Right. And that they have the same obligation now to do others. And that's why whoever's in that room, and I get this time, everyone's going to hopefully be out working, right? We want them to be, it's like a parent. I don't want them in my basement. I want you out there working, yes. You know? And so, but the ones that are there, in this year in particular, and in years going forward, they are there so that in years forward, when they are recognized, they're going to be able to talk about people who influenced them and led them to their full potential. And that's the magic of the Parnellis. That's where so much of that has been nurtured and encouraged. So to credit to you and your team, well, you know, you've changed the generation of how people look at each other from competitive to supportive.
Right. And you know, with this industry and with so many things going on, everybody has to have relationships with other companies that do the same thing because of all the cross rentals and stuff like that. So it's better to have these people you feel are more of associates rather than competitors. But you know, this is a pay it forward industry. I mean, it's one where everybody has had, like you said, had a boost along the way. And one of my favorite stories that is directly from the Parnellis is one year we had this young gentleman come to the Parnellis when we had it down on Long Beach on the Queen Mary. That was the year we gave Chip Monk the Parnelli Award. Chip was the voice of Woodstock and lighting designer for Woodstock as well. So this young man came and he worked the room and got to know people, and you know, about 9 years later, I saw him over at Solitech, and now he was the video director for Madonna. So, you know, just coming to the Parnelli Awards is a great opportunity to press the flesh and meet people, and hopefully that'll bring one to a better place in life.
This year in particular, because of the pendulum swung from no shows at all to everybody going on tour, and that's created the challenges we were speaking of earlier about talent shortage and qualified people on the road. Mm-hmm. And obviously there's lots of issues related to that, as far as just the things we got so spoiled that things just went up on time and they went on as always. Now there's maybe a new generation of people coming in, and safety, of course, is a huge issue. We're going to be addressing that at Summer NAMM. I mean, at the NAMM show in June, the idea of how do we make sure these events are safer than ever as they get more and more complicated. But at the show in June, there'll be thousands of young, aspiring industry professionals. Mm-hmm. It's our Gen Next. So they're going to come for the networking, they're going to come for training. Now, they may go work for a manufacturer, they may go work for one of the NAMM retailers, but many of them are going to find their path into the event technology space. And I think we're encouraging, especially this year when there's just so much opportunity for them. Someone coming out of college, someone coming out of maybe their theater program where they had experience of being on stage or working on those skills. I think if I were in this industry, I would be at the June show recruiting. I would be there absolutely looking for the next generation of talent because we need them. So I mean, it's almost like a job fair. I think June is going to be a job fair because what I'm telling all the young people coming is that you may get battlefield promotions then. Whereas you had to maybe in years past work your, many tours to work your way up. There's people now who are saying, are you responsible? Okay, you're the new production manager.
Can you string a guitar?
Here's your plane ticket. Yeah, go, and I think there's more opportunity. I think June is a job fair. I think it's going to be a way to fill that pipeline of young and very talented people who want to be in this space and have an opportunity. It's a window that they may never have again.
Well, that's the pro production seminars that we're doing this year. They're going to be real interesting in that we had been doing on the road, like on the road with Paul McCartney, on the road with Michael Bublé. Well, since they haven't been on the road, we're going to be doing in the theater. So we're going to be doing a deep dive into the production of Bruno Mars in Vegas and Luke Bryant. So those are going to be the two artists that we're going to have their production people there and talking about how they produce the show and what elements go into it. And then we're going to look at Coachella, the production at Coachella, and that's a massive Woodstock of our generation and of the current generation. And the final one is going to be a look at how concerts are being delivered to the public in ways that they've never been before, which comes into the streaming concerts. And so we're going to look at all of the different aspects that has to go into a streaming concert that can reach 1 million people at one time. So there'll be some really good speakers, and we're looking forward to that.
I think education right now, and I know education isn't maybe the right word for people like us. I mean, I wasn't a good student, so I look at it more as training or professional development, the idea of how do I, improve myself in my career path. I think that's really what the NAMM show education's about. But I think now, more than ever, what's the next couple of years going to look like? And I don't know anyone who can tell me with any certainty that answer. And I think the list of things we don't know is twice as long as the things we do know. Pandemic, are we over? What's it look like? Are there more shoes to drop? What does the industry look like? Now we're in an era of inflation, high gas, and geopolitical changes. We've just experienced maybe 20 years of the most peaceful globalization we've ever had. Does that change? How does that change touring? How does that change the free flow of musical instruments and sound gear between manufacturer and retailer or distributor around the world? There's a lot we don't know. And because of that, I think the gatherings where we actually come together physically for meetings and sharing with peers and others that maybe aren't directly in our industry but also affected by it. The think tank, the idea of humans coming together of a Silk Road where the sum is always greater than the individual parts is more important than ever. Now, I say that as a show organizer, but I also say that as someone who truly believes that if the industry is going to thrive in the decade ahead, that the 20s ahead are going to be tumultuous. I just guarantee it. Mark my words, this is not over yet, what we've been through. And those who are prepared, those who have learned to be as adapting and quickly adapting as possible, those who understand the networking that's going to be required to solve problems in real time, whether it's on the road or in their business, those are the ones who are going to thrive. And so when I think about money, if I was a private equity guy and I was investing in companies or I'm investing in people, I'd invest in the ones who take that time to improve themselves, improve their company's chance of success. And that's things like going to the NAMM show, things like going and taking part in the educational offerings that are there.
And reading journals for their industry. And
staying up to date with your magazines, what's happening in real time. Your newsletters, your e-newsletters are so helpful to me. This is no time to stick your head in the sand, in other words. Right. And again, if you're investing, if you're betting on who's going to win in the future, that's who you're betting on, those who make those investments.
Well, Darwin's been working overtime for the last 4 years, so there's an evolution going on here, and those that are prepared, as you said, are the ones that are going to survive and thrive. And we look forward to being there, and thank you for having me over here today. It's been great having this chat.